My name is Bob Edmunds from Edmunds & Associates. All right, what we're going to do today, and 2 years ago we did this, and I kind of went over features, and I saw a lot of faces kind of like falling asleep and everything, so we have all kinds of release notes and stuff on the website where you can read about features. Everything all right there? Oh. There goes the theory that the smartest people sit in the front row, right? Yeah. You said I had to say something funny and make fun of somebody, so, and I couldn't do it to you with that Band-Aid on your head, right? So, I actually asked Gene if I could put an E&A sticker on there. So, but at any rate, I know. So, but the first thing we're going to do today is look at Edmunds today by the numbers, where we want to be in 5 years by the numbers, how do we get there, what our plans are, really how do we get from good to great. It's kind of been a joke in the office, Good to Great, because I have read one book in my life, and it's a book called Good to Great, and it has 7 stories about 7 companies and what they did to go from being a very good company to being a great company. And each chapter on the company is about 8 pages. So that's why in the office they say, they say good to great. But we'll go over what's available today, what's an MCSJ that maybe some people don't use that could make their town more efficient or, better for the residents, become more citizen-centric. And then we'll go over what's coming in the future. Edmunds today. Right now we have 857 customers. Actually, I got an email today. That's 862. I did this PowerPoint last week. And we have 564 in the state of New Jersey. 65% of our business is in New Jersey. I rarely cross the rivers, so I stay in New Jersey myself. Our customer retention rate is higher than 98%. I pride myself in being a very honest person. Our market is a very, what they call, sticky market. It's really hard to change software. So a high, it's kind of like Geico, right? It's hard to change car insurance, especially if you have kids, right? You're stuck, right? So it's a good number, but it's a very sticky market. It's hard to change software, right? It's kind of a little bit of a root canal. Nobody wants to go through a root canal. But our retention rate is a little greater than 98%. This is the number that I look at. Everybody calls it the NPS. And what the Net Promoter Score represents is how many of your customers are a strong reference for you. If somebody calls them, they say, no question in my mind, they're the best total solution, good product, great support, good stability, everything else. Right now, we're currently at 84% on our NPS. 67% of our support calls are responded to within an hour. Average customer uses 7 MCSJ applications. In the state of New Jersey, it's 4. We actually have 25. And, to date, I think we've done a pretty poor job of letting everybody know what we have out there. We have 87 customers that are now in the cloud with MCSJ. That's about 15% of our market. Anybody that, clients in South Carolina, North Carolina, along the shore were really happy they were in the cloud. I mean, they may not be able to get to City Hall, but they can do their work from wherever they're at. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. We currently have 73 employees, the best one sitting in front of me, and I apologize for that mean comment. And we have customers in 13 states. Tomorrow, in 5 years, we want to have over 3,000 customers in the United States. We are in a market and an industry that, and we'll get into it later, but some of the technology that's coming forward, you've got to grow or you're not going to be able to afford to support customers and what people are going to be asking for. We want to maintain our customer retention rate. but we want to increase our Net Promoter Score to over 90%, which would be insane in our industry, but we're really focused on that, and we'll get to that in a later slide. We want to have 85% of support calls responded to within 1 hour. What we're doing right now, which is pretty cool, is with technology, I mean, we can tell every client how much time it took to respond to their call, what the resolution time is. And there's about 35% of our calls that take over 20 minutes to resolve. And what we found looking at that is, you know, people just have to understand when they can't answer the question, right? And, you know, we do have a tiered structure. We have people that are, you know, better at one subject than other people. And really what part of the plan is to just kind of move that forward. If you can't figure out what the problem is like in 5 minutes, it should be passed on. We don't want to be Comcast, right, where you just kind of get put on hold forever. And Jeff's been with me in some out-of-state demos, and whenever Comcast comes in, what do they call it, Jeff? Comcrap. Comcrap's coming to do our cable. So we want to have the average customer use at least 11 applications. We want 95, if not 100% of our customers being on the cloud. We'll have between 250 and 300 employees, and we'll have customers in 30 states. So that's where we want to be in 5 years. Here's the big questions, right? How do you get there? You don't get on the bus, right? But anyway. First and foremost, you know, we in our strategy meetings this year, my main purpose was to make sure everybody was committed to what's called a customer intimacy value discipline. If you had strategy classes in college, I mean, there's 3 value disciplines. All are important, but to us, it's all about the customer. And really and I wrote it down just so I wouldn't screw it up, but you know, really what this is in our world is providing products and service that fits the customer needs, what the customer wants. You know, we're a technology company. We're a process company. We do implementations. We do conversions. But you know, in the end, technology is important. You have to be good. You have to have a lot of features. You know, the process has to be good. But in the end, in our market, it's all about what the customer wants, what the customer needs. And, you know, that's one of the things that we are really committing to. We've got a new COO. I don't know if Bob's here. He's thinking maybe he's going to come over. But who is phenomenal, has a great track record. You may never see him, but he is insanely good at putting processes together. And we're excited to have him on board. What we've always aimed for and what we'll continue to do is to be the best total solution and the brand to be trusted. I think what's important here is, you know, what's the best total solution? You know, we have 25 modules. You know, the core ones, we obviously want to be the best that we can be at, but we want to have the best total solution. You know, when you go to buy a car, you know, it may not have the very best gas mileage. It might not have the best safety track record. But the things that are really important to you, you know, and what that's going to be in the future is going to be integration. The amount of people, and even just while Jeff was here today, that talked to me about, you know, all these segregated pieces that they have out there and how inefficient it is and how their governing body, you know, is going after them. Hey, we've got to tie these things together. You know, we just don't want to see what somebody owes in taxes. I mean, we want to see what they have any violations or they have any outstanding permits, permit applications, stuff like that. So that's a big part of what we're trying to bring together. Another great idea, and I kind of kicked myself that I didn't think about this ever years ago. I'm a grandfather, so it's a long time ago, but is building what we're going to call the Edmunds community. And what this will do is we're going to go out there and look for people that would be willing to assist other clients that are just starting with the system, from a client perspective. So we're going to start the Edmunds community, and we're going to have a really good buddy system that will help people. It's one thing to hear it from a support person or an implementation person, but when you hear it from a colleague, it does, that's been there, done that, it just means more. One of the things that I'm heavily involved in, and I'm really excited, and if no one's ever met Tom Mancini from our office, he's a young guy developer who is phenomenal. He is in charge of our concept group. And just think of it like a car. He's always developing the next greatest thing. He's building concepts, what we're going to go with, and his whole job is to continue to leverage evolving technology. How can we make that fit within our customer intimacy value discipline? A lot of people probably met and talked to Vito. Vito runs what we call the refactor group. Tom runs the concept group. And the concept group is just a lot of people who have a lot of great ideas, and no idea is said that it's stupid. It all gets evaluated, and then people like Jeff and myself who have strong industry knowledge kind of weigh and gauge how valuable it's going to be to our customers. This is just the necessary evil in our industry as a total. Is one of the things that we're really pushing is having, documentation that's current. I mean, I'm personally embarrassed when I go to our website and I see some of the documentation. We're generating a ton of self-help tools. And one thing you'll see even in the newer release that I know some people have that I was talking to is, every screen has this little button, you push help. The goal within 6 months is that'll all be context sensitive. So if you're having trouble with a bank rec, you hit help, it'll take you right where it is in the documentation. It'll have a couple videos there that will show you how to do what you want to do. So it's really going to be a cool concept. More and more people, come up to me and they ask me, well, it'd be really great if we could just figure it out ourselves. And you know what? That would be great for us too. So next wave's going to have a ton of first-class documentation. We developed a customer success playbook. We probably have some Eagles fans, right? Some Giants fans, some Jets fans. Hopefully our playbook's not from the Jets or the Giants, right? So go Eagles. But I actually don't watch pro football. I love college football. I love high school football, still involved. But the other thing that we did is we developed an E5 implementation method. I won't go through everything because we have it here, but when I get done, I'll have a link to everything I talked about. You can download it, everything like that. And it will have a copy of the E5 implementation program. We've got to improve communication, both internally and externally, and we've already started that. But we do a bad job, on both sides of the ball, and we're going to try and improve that. Efficiencies available today. And one thing that I was really excited about, and I was teasing some people, was the amount of people that were approving requisitions this week on their app. Took a couple years, but it's really starting to take off. Quick story, I won't mention any names, I won't mention genders, but somebody came to my booth yesterday and they said, I was sitting at lunch and I was approving requisitions on my app. And there was a person that asked me, what was I doing? And I explained it to them. And they said, well, I have Edmunds. I can't do that. And the person said to me, I told him I would bring him over to your booth, and you can explain to him what needs to be done. Well, I was talking to somebody else, and when they got to my booth, that person B ran around the corner. So I never got to speak with him. But it was good. It's good to see that that's being used. We're going to talk about the cloud-hosted environment, citizen services, employee vendor services, employee and vendor services, smart device apps. The beauty of those things is you're open every hour, every day. Right? I'm not saying you want to make you want to go in there and get your check stubs out so you can go get a car loan or anything on Christmas, but you don't have to call the finance office, you don't have to call the payroll office. And we'll get into those. E-commerce, simple, makes sense some places, maybe doesn't make sense in others. Payroll and HR, the amount of people in New Jersey that are going to in-house payroll is it's growing substantially. And with the system generating the 941, your pension reports, that scary thing like, man, we've got to do our own reports. We've got to, submit the stuff to the IRS and the state. I mean, that's just kind of dissipated. We'll go through some integrated secondary solutions. The cloud-hosted environment. Hopefully you've gotten some emails, some things that push these benefits. One thing that there's no question about is the performance and security is greatly enhanced. We use Amazon Web Services. We use a product called EC2 if you want to look it up. When I first tested this, probably about 18 months ago, I ran a cash receipts report, and I saw some people from Tom's River here. They have a lot of line items. They've been using the system for 3,000 years. So I figured their cash receipts report, if anything was going to be slow, that would be slow. So I ran it the first time, and it took like less than a minute. And when I ran it on premise, it was like 12 and a half minutes. So I ran it 4 times, and it was all, about 48 seconds. I mean, the speed for reporting and things that have to access on Amazon is just, no major financial institution, even has their own server farm anymore. They all use Amazon. It's FedRAMP certified, the security is great, and you have easy, unlimited access from anywhere. As long as you have internet connection, right? That's the one key. Jeff and I did a demo one time many years back, and the gentleman was swearing to me that another system that he was looking at in Florida, they could access it from anywhere, even without internet connection. And I said, I'd love to see that. I'd buy that secret from him. So redundant backup sites, right? It's what's called snapshot. You're backed up in 3 spots. There is no, I don't want to mention storms, hurricanes that have come through, but there's, hey, your data's good. Your city hall may not be, and maybe your PCs are gone, but your data's always going to be there. That the total cost of ownership over time is so much less expensive. You never need to do a server upgrade. You never have to buy new hard drives. The thing that, Amazon and the EC2 is elastic computing. That's the EC. And if you were to, sometimes you talk to people and they say, oh, we have a lot of transactions. We don't have more transactions than American Express or Wells Fargo or Chase or any of those other but the elastic is if for any reason you run out of space, it just gets added. We don't have to think about it. You don't have to think about it. So I'm a big fan of it. We use it in-house. It's, 99, when you get into cloud products, they call it the 9s. It's all about the 9s. And what will happen is Amazon will have cost based upon their uptime. And you can even have more 9s. We do 4 9s, but that's an estimated 21 minutes of downtime a month. On-premise is hours, at least, and usually at the most inconvenient times. Or when Vito calls and says, I won't bother anything, and then you're calling the next morning. Can we go back on? Some of the citizen services that we have out there, and I'll get in a little more detail, but resident self-service is a great tool. I'll explain that. Financial dashboard. Some of the states that we're in are required to have this, as one of their open government requirements. So in some of the southern towns, we actually did this, and it's a great tool. My Town app, I'll talk about that. Permitting self-service, inspection apps. Inspection apps probably becoming the most it's an unbelievable app, like for inspectors, whether it's permitting or code violations. There's 3 versions of WHIP out there, and you have it's not an app, it's not something you have to pay for, but in your software today, you can notify residents either by text or emails. It's pretty simple. See how good this shows up there? But, resident self-service, basically what's really cool about that, a lot of the sites that I've looked at basically have like a PDF form you can fill out, and that's the end of the road, and you hand it to DPW, or you hand it to the utility, or you hand it to the recreation department. Yeah, you probably needed your glasses. I apologize. But at any rate, what will happen here is this has the workflow to take it through the whole process. So if a citizen either goes on the My Town app, which is a citizen app, or they go on to your website, the resident self-serve, they can go in there, provide basic information, and they'll select what they are writing to you about. And it's an unlimited number of codes that you can set up. They see the writing, they don't see the codes. Say their trash wasn't picked up, or they want a final read, you have a water and electric utility, or they're upset about the neighbor's house. Either on the app, on the app you can just take a picture and send it. Say this dude's got to cut his grass, it's killing the value of the neighborhood. On the website you would have to attach it. But even on the app or the website, you can go right into Google Maps. They'll tell you, like the app will tell you right where you are when you send it. You'll have to, you can save that when you bring up Google Maps on the app. But basically what happens, based on that code, that's where the workflow is built. So if somebody didn't have their garbage picked up, or they have a complaint, that may get sent directly to the DPW department. So, and he can set the time, he can go look in it at any time he wants to, kind of like a requisition. He can go in and look at them all, but he'll either accept or deny them, hold them. Once that happens, he can write a public note. He can also write a private note. You're like, this dude's crazy. His son knocks down the garbage cans every day, or his lab or something like that. But that's a private note. But what will happen is, once that's received, they'll get an email or a text message, whatever they sign up for, that says, hey, we received your request for service. It's being reviewed. As soon as whoever it's processed to approves it, they'll get a message that the work order's been created, and obviously when it gets completed, they'll be notified of that. They can always go back and search, anything on there. But it takes it through the whole process. And even within, once it gets to that DPW department, or rec department, depending upon the size of your local government, you can even take it to the appropriate person. You might have somebody that's the director of trash pickup, the director of recycling, things like that. But both RSS and the My Town app gives you that opportunity. The My Town app has some other things. You can sign up for subscriptions, so you can send out feed, hurricane warnings, 4th of July parades, holiday season tree lighting, all kinds of things, local sports, what the high school scores are and stuff like that. A lot of really cool things that you can do to keep in contact with your citizens. The financial dashboard, you have a lot of, and you probably can't see the top bar up there. There's a lot of tabs that you can have. The neat thing about this, like with expenses, you can go down to as much detail as you want to. You can go down to the individual officer and what he's getting in regular time and overtime if you think that's appropriate. But there's really a lot of cool things you do. Everything is graphically presented. Everything can be taken out to Excel. It can be, taken out to a data grid, stuff like that. Construction and permit self-service, really cool option. People can apply for a permit online. They can submit their drawings. They can make a payment for the permit app. A lot of cool things you can do. You have the inspection app, which is on the bottom. You can create violations. You can do an inspection. You can schedule an inspection. On the app, if you have a portable printer, you can print the permit right there. You can print the violation. There's all kinds of cool things you can do. You can take, you got your camera, you got your print buttons. All of our apps are either, Droid or Apple. So, employee and vendor services. We have employee self-serve. I'll go through that for those that don't use it. An attendance app. So if you do in-house payroll and somebody wants to do their timesheet on their phone, it's very easy to do. And they can also get everything that's on self-service on their app. So if they're the bank and they want to print out, their pay stuff for the last 3 years, they can do that right there. As long as the bank's printer, right, accepts an internet. Vendor self-service. Few people use this. It really hasn't taken off as much as I thought it would, but I think it will over time as more and more people get on it. Vendor ACH payments, you now have the check stub mailed. That was the big thing before. They get a credit in their account, but what was it for? Well, now what happens if you pay a vendor via ACH, they also get a email gets generated to them, and it has a check stub on there also, so they see exactly what the breakdown of it is. Employee e-checks. One great thing about the state of New Jersey, you can require it. So, if you don't want to print checks, you can go ahead and just have direct deposit and e-checks. Employee self-service. Just take a quick look. There's the app, the attendance entry. But an employee can reprint a W-2. They can reprint any check stub for, if you've had payroll for 20-some years, you can go in there and print 20-some years if you want to. You can have forms on there, right? So if it's, health benefits, election time, you can have that there. They can do it, and they can send it back to you via the employee self-service, and then you just attach it to their employee record, however you want to do that. You can request time off. We have what's called, do we call it the manager's view? In employee self-service, we also have the manager's view. So if you just want to go in and see conflicts for time off and stuff like that, it's very easy to go in and see that stuff. It's all color-coded. Like I said, a lot of really neat things you can do. You can do your timesheet from there also. But the app is really, really popular. And because you can get in there anytime and look at any information, what your holiday schedule is, request time off. The vendor portal, just like the employee self-service portal, you can hang forms there. They can print a 1099. You can have your BRC on there. They can submit it electronically if they want to. A vendor can reprint a purchase order at any time, at any status. They can look if they've been paid. One of the cool things, and what happens is they reprint an actual purchase order, but I forget, does it say copy? It says something like on the watermark in the back. They know it's not the original purchase order, but I know some of the auditors are here today. You want to see a purchase order, you don't have to go back and reprint it. You can automatically just go back and look at it here. A lot of cool things here, though. Some of the e-commerce stuff that I think is easy. Jeff caught this. He said, "I think you mean implement." I said, "Yeah, I'll fix it." So I guess I didn't fix it, sorry. But we talked about requisitions, completely paperless. I know somebody's in another session today is talking about the green purchase procedure. Well, it doesn't get any greener than no paper. But, the requisitions, the approvals, and you email the POs. I mean, there's no reason to do it. New Jersey, unfortunately, unless things have changed since about 6 months ago when I talked to the state, there's only 3 states that haven't accepted the federal electronic signature legislation, and we're one of them. So, you're in Florida, people use DocuSign. Sign it, send it right back, just like, a real estate closing or something. But e-bills, it's another thing that, been to Trenton a couple times, and, it's really going to take, and, I know we're at a finance officers conference, but, my man Carl, I think, is going to be the first vice president with the TCTA. He will go to Trenton every week, and I think Chris Manolio, his ex-boss, is here. He won't stop until they get the legislation passed through. It's in the Senate now. It's been there for 3 years. But we can't email tax bills. It's insane. Think about how much money you'd save. Postage, delinquent notices. I forget what like 73% of the people, and one of the things I did at the TCTA, they want to receive e-bills, right? They want to make electronic payments. Sending out that funky tax bill that needs a special envelope and all that other stuff, come on. But at any rate, utility bills people have been doing forever. So, question? I'm sorry, hair scratch. You can email and text permits and violations, either through the MyTown app or through the system. If you have payroll, email the check stubs. Do direct deposit for the employees. You can do it. They need a bank account. Not to keep picking on Tom's River, but when they did that, the people that didn't have a bank card, they went out and got a debit card for them, right? So everybody did direct deposit. If they want to spend the money right away, that's up to them. Vendor submittals via, vendor self-service. You don't have to get that paper. Some secondary products. I'm going to take a look at the time because I see how much. I was telling everybody this week, I'm going back to a watch. We're good. Just some secondary products that are very easy to use, integrate with everything that I think probably are a little underutilized. All right, what's upcoming? What do we have in the tube? One of the things that I'm really excited, and one of the really positive, competition is really good. And everybody thinks I'm BSing when I say that, but everybody in the office, you don't get better if you don't have competition. I heard Carl Lewis speak one time, and I'm probably showing my age, but when he was like in 10th grade, he ran like an 11,800 meters because nobody in his area was faster than that, right? Usain Bolt, I loved when he said this. Everybody says, well, geez, he's the #1 seeded person in the race, but he doesn't take the middle lane on the 400. And he said, the reason is I need somebody to chase. So until they collapse, how they collapse after they hit the one turn? He's got his eye on the 8th lane, and he takes like 1 or 2. He's always running after somebody. And one thing that I never expected when we decided to start doing other states was, you compete against billion-dollar companies, right, that spend an awful lot of money on research and development. And one thing that has really gotten popular in what's called the tier 1 players, the Oracles and those guys, SAP, is business intelligence. And it's so applicable to everything everybody does that, what's going to be upcoming in the near term is true business intelligence. And, The way when we started this that I defined business intelligence is technologies and applications for the integration, analysis, and presentation of information, with the main purpose that we can never lose of business intelligence is to just assist and support better decision making. Besides looking really cool for the governing body, right? You can go right to a chart, you can break down that chart, drill down everything. I think everybody's going to be really impressed with that. It's not an additional product. It's going to be part of our next release, so it's going to be really cool. Cash flow reporting and projections. I mean, not just simple running reports, like we do now. I mean, true projections based on economic factors you can place in there. I tease everybody. We're in the state of New Jersey, right? And we also do New York, and they're in the same boat with taxes. You get into Westchester County, I mean, Bergen County can't cry about anything. I mean, that's crazy. But, I mean, look at the pie chart. I mean, what's the big thing? Property taxes. I mean, that's how we live. So, but there's a lot of neat things that you can do with cash flow and also with BI that can basically print out, what you want your budget to be and what you want your rates to be and visually show it very easily. Land management and community development. I think the next release has the parcel information. Okay. As part of trying to integrate everything, we're developing, and this is actually a separate product, but land management and community development integrates with GIS, integrates with CPCE, does your planning board schedules based on all that other good stuff. But the one thing that is a really good thing for the people in this room is, there's the concept of a parcel ID. So you'll have a window that you can go to and you can see everything for that parcel ID or that owner of the property. So you can see any outstanding permits, you can see violations, smoke detector violations if you have rental ordinances, what they owe in taxes, what they owe in utility. Have they paid their dog license? A lot of action on dog license this week, which I was kind of surprised, but good stuff. So that'll be coming out. A really good position control. We have position control now, but it's kind of, 50%. So a really good position control that will automatically just flow into your budget preparation. An example would be, you're going to hire 7 patrolmen level 1, or you have 7, you're going to hire 3, you currently have 2. You can still budget for that position, right? You can budget by what, maybe you're a county, your town, and you're not going to hire 2 of them until July 1st. The system will do that for you. It'll project out the budget prep, what you're going to pay. That's been asked a lot in some of the accounts that we've replaced down in the South because, that's what they had, and it really is a good suggestion. We are, at the end of this year, moving to a different merchant service provider for WIP. FIS has been good for a lot of years, but their technology is kind of holding us behind on certain things. Probably the biggest advantage that I see, or 2 advantages, is we'll be able to have a digital wallet in the first quarter of 2019. And all that is a completely PCI compliant where, somebody owns 7 homes in the same town or in 7 different towns. They can go in and they can create their digital wallet. They can leave their bank account there, a credit card, whatever, but they can pay all 7 properties. They can schedule those payments. They don't have to go in and pay each one individually. When my dad's getting better, but he actually had a heat stroke this past summer. And my wife's biggest fear is that, she loves my dad, but that I become him at 85. 12 hours a day, 7 days a week working on a farm. And it kind of caught up to him this year, but paying the taxes, and having to go in and enter, every single one individually, especially when you get into farmland assessments and there's, 30 different, block and lots on one. But anyway, the digital wallet will allow people to assign what they want to pay, schedule it, and maintain their payment situation. The other thing that'll be great that FIS hasn't done yet, and I always teased them, like when Wawa gets the chip, you guys better have the chip. Get rid of those swipe cards. I mean, they're looking, and you don't need it. I mean, I understand you don't need it, but everybody's just used to it. I hate going in to visit a client, and I see somebody with that little thing on the side of their computer. So besides the digital wallet, you'll also be able to use a chip machine. They're a little more expensive, but well worth it. We talked about the online context-sensitive help link. Our next generation, the next big thing, is slated for mid-2020, and this will be our next generation software. MCSJ, I mean, it'll be around for 15 years, 20 years. When we first went to Windows in 2001, for those people that were at that meeting, and I said we were giving everybody till the end of the year to switch, the line at the door was unbelievable. So, there's going to be no, sunset date or anything like that. After 2020, anything statutorily is going to be done. Features are still going to be done. But this is just like, when technology changes, you just can't wait. And, one of the coolest things to get demoed, and this is Tom's group, is what's called responsive technology. And most of the banks don't even use it yet, but, I mean, it doesn't matter what device you have, the system's responsive. It's smart. It automatically spades. If you ever try to book a flight and you're going like this and, you don't have to worry about that. Everything's responsive, it sizes, and it's one piece of software. It's really a phenomenal technology that's out there. One of the other things that you can do, and it's actually put out by a Dell company called Boomi, is, and the product's called Atom, but your software can monitor everything that the customer's doing. Right? We're not going to be picking up that you screwed up, 3 journal entries and you had to repeat them and all that other good stuff. But it will really allow us to know what the customer experience is. Like, think of the metrics. How much time do they spend? If you're not on one of the newer versions, check reconciliation has gotten a whole lot easier and better. But it's still a challenge, if you miss a few months, so they're the type of things. And taking that information, now you can start to drive what your video tutorials are, right? This is where our clients spend most of their time. This is what, instead of trying to ask people, what do you think our clients, this is like factual. This is where they're at. This is what they spend time on. This is where having those tools would be the best, the best to have out there. Partner with customers, right? I mean, that's what we talked about, customer intimacy. When Tom starts to get things ready, he's going to be asking for people, to come in and say, hey, I like this, I don't like it, what are you, crazy? Right? Stuff like that. I called somebody crazy yesterday. I apologize. I forget who it was. Oh, is Cindy here? Lindsay? I'm sorry for calling you crazy. She's going to do a great job with FAST. We're going to make it quick. But she came over. I said, what are you, crazy? She said, what are you trying to say? I'll get it done. I have 100% confidence. But it really will allow us to capitalize on the trends and what people are trying to do through our system. We'll be moving to a SaaS model. That's just software as a subscription, service, however you want to put it, that will really take advantage of some of the capabilities on-premise stuff just can't do. And that's really where the industry's going. The one thing that we will start to offer, because we're just going to keep it simple, is starting in fiscal year 2020, the end of 2019, support agreements will technically be a SaaS agreement because you'll have the ability to pay up front or you can pay quarterly, right? If you decide to pay quarterly, you just have to pay via ACH, you know? And if you can't figure it out, we'll send you a video how to do that in our system, so. But here's the link. It's real simple. www.edmundsasoc.com, NJ GFOA 2018. So if you want to, and there you go. I like take a picture of it. That's what I do in Disney World. No, not really Disney World. They don't serve alcohol. But if I'm someplace else, I usually need my phone to guide my wife to the car. So, but how are we for time? Hey, any questions?